be prepared, because if you think the flower moon ended, you're already one step behind. The real shift didn't happen when the moon was full. It began after. And now, on May 13th, your body is speaking in signals louder than words. Fatigue, disconnection, sudden clarity followed by emotional chaos. You're not imagining it. You're not overreacting. You're being rewired. This isn't just a mood swing. It's a post-lunar recalibration. And your system is trying to survive what most people can't even feel. If you've been feeling strange in your own skin, foggy, sensitive, numb, or overstimulated, this is the video you must watch before you mistake your evolution for something going wrong. Because the shift isn't over, it's just getting started, and you need to understand what's happening inside you before you try to return to a life that no longer fits your frequency. The full moon didn't end, it evolved. You probably felt it the moment it began, a sudden silence under the noise. But if you thought the flower moon came and went with a single night of intensity, your body is here to remind you it didn't end. It evolved. What we're in right now isn't the aftermath. It's the integration phase. The part where lunar light stops dancing in the sky and starts working through your nervous system, your breath, your skin, your thoughts. And maybe you've felt it already, that strange in-between space. Not quite grounded, not quite floating, just suspended. Have you noticed your sense of time shifting? Like you're moving in slow motion while the rest of the world speeds ahead? That's not just fatigue. It's your body syncing with a new internal rhythm, one that no longer runs on external urgency. This moon wasn't just poetic, it was coded. And now those codes are being decrypted inside of you. People around you might be moving on, back to their routines, posting about mundane things, but you're sensing something still echoing. That's because lunar energy doesn't stop working when the moon wanes. It digs in deeper. And right now, it's touching places inside you that have been dormant for years, maybe even lifetimes. And you don't need to be spiritual to feel it. You just need to be sensitive, open, aware of that subtle pressure building inside your own breath. Have you caught yourself waking up tired even after resting? Or feeling like everything familiar feels strangely hollow? You're not broken, you're becoming. Because the flower moon wasn't just an event, it was an activation. It pulled something out of you. And now, in this quiet moment after the collective climax, you're being asked to reorient your inner compass. This is why certain habits suddenly feel unbearable, why some people's energy no longer makes sense to your field, why the usual coping mechanisms no longer click. Because they were built for an older version of you, a version that the moon just peeled away. If you've felt distant from your usual self, like a layer of identity has dissolved without explanation, you're not alone. This is the invitation of May 13th, to stop trying to feel normal again and start letting this new frequency introduce itself. Don't rush to define it. Just stay present. Let your body show you what it needs. Let your intuition speak without interruption. Let your silence become sacred, because that's where the real information lives now. And if people around you aren't noticing what you're feeling, that's okay. You weren't meant to blend in. You were meant to perceive what others miss. So here's the truth. The full moon didn't disappear. It just went internal. And what happens next isn't in the sky, it's in you. Your system is recalibrating in silence. It's subtle at first. You sit down to do something simple, reply to a message, finish a task, even eat, and suddenly, nothing sticks. Your mind drifts, your limbs feel delayed. There's a weird delay between thought and action, like your body is out of sync with time itself. That's not laziness, that's not distraction, that's recalibration. Right now, your entire system is running an invisible update. The flower moon didn't just trigger emotions, it altered the baseline frequency of your body's communication field. And now, every part of you, physical, mental, emotional, etheric, is trying to catch up. Have you noticed yourself rereading the same sentence 5 times? Forgetting basic words? Or even feeling like your emotions don't fit the moment you're in? This isn't confusion. It's alignment in progress. Imagine it like this. Your old programs, the ones wired by habit, by survival, by reaction, are being slowly uninstalled. But your new blueprint hasn't fully integrated yet. So your inner system is operating in a kind of liminal state between what was and what will be. This space is uncomfortable. You'll want to push through it. But the more you try to operate like you used to, the more friction you'll feel. Have you asked yourself lately, why can't I focus like before? Why do I feel so blank all of a sudden? You're not regressing, you're rethreading. Right now, your nervous system is learning to operate from a different center. Not the mind, not the fear, not the pattern, but from something more subtle, more rooted, more attuned to your truth. That's why stillness feels so loud lately. Why moments of silence bring up waves of emotion you didn't expect. Because silence is the new signal. The body listens more in stillness than it ever could in noise. So if you've been craving quiet, or if your body is forcing you into it through exhaustion, disinterest, or fog, don't fight it. This isn't burnout. It's spiritual bandwidth being recalibrated. Even your sleep might feel strange. Dreams vivid, fragmented, symbolic, or maybe you're waking up at odd hours with a feeling you can't name. That's your system syncing with new timelines. Energetic work doesn't follow clock time. And here's the wild part. You might be experiencing all this while nothing in your external life seems to be happening. But inside, you're undergoing a complete software shift. The old you operated on output, productivity, response. The new you is being coded in presence, in resonance, in choosing rather than reacting. And that takes space. So let it take as long as it needs. Let your body teach you its pace. Because in this silent recalibration, something deep is aligning, not just for today, but for the self you're becoming. There's a particular kind of heaviness in the air right now, not dramatic, not explosive, just thick. Like walking through fog that lives inside your own skin. You wake up and feel like you never fully slept. You start something and forget why halfway through. You try to concentrate, but the thoughts just slide away before you can hold them. It's frustrating, especially when the world around you keeps whispering, be productive, stay sharp, don't fall behind. But what if the fog isn't failure? What if it's protection? Right now, your system is conserving energy because it's still processing something you don't consciously understand. You're not meant to be on right now. You're meant to be soft. Because the full moon pulled open something deep in you, and your entire being is working overtime just to hold it without breaking. Have you found yourself judging this fatigue, calling yourself lazy, distracted, or unmotivated? Pause. Ask yourself, who told you that stillness was weakness, that needing rest was a flaw? The fog is your body's way of saying, something is realigning inside. I need your cooperation, not your criticism. And yes, it feels like nothing is working, like your brain can't quite engage, like everything takes twice the effort. But what if that's not because you're falling apart, but because your old operating system is no longer valid? We're taught to associate clarity with success, but spiritual transformation often begins in the blur, the place where old definitions dissolve and new ones haven't formed yet. This is not confusion, it's the sacred unmaking, a soft undoing of mental noise so your deeper knowing can emerge. Can you allow yourself to be unclear for a moment? To not rush toward answers, but to let the questions linger like mist, shaping you in silence? Because here's what's really happening. You're tired because your inner world is rearranging itself, and clarity will return, but not as it was before. It will come with a new texture, one that isn't forced, one that resonates. The mistake is thinking you're behind. But how can you be behind on a journey that's timeless? The real trap right now is trying to function as if nothing changed, as if your nervous system isn't cycling through layers of information from your soul lineage, your past lives, your unspoken grief, as if your emotions aren't carrying centuries of ancestral silence. You're not tired. You're processing multidimensional data in a human form, and that takes more than sleep. It takes permission. So if all you can do today is breathe, stretch, stare into space, or cry for no reason, let it be enough. Because failure isn't what you're experiencing. You're in the pause between frequencies. And this fog, it's just the veil between who you were and who you're becoming. It starts as a quiet instinct. You wake up and don't want to speak. You scroll through messages, but feel no pull to respond. Even people you usually love, suddenly their energy feels too loud. You might be asking yourself, am I pulling away? Am I shutting down again? But no, this isn't regression. This is an energetic fast. When the system gets overstimulated, like it just did from the flower moon, your field naturally begins to retreat, not out of fear, but out of sacred necessity, because the light didn't just illuminate what you're becoming, it also exposed what's no longer compatible. And now, your body, your aura, your entire frequency is requesting space to digest it all. Have you been craving silence lately, even in safe spaces? Have you caught yourself seeking solitude? Not because you're sad, but because noise feels like static? That's the sign. You're not avoiding connection. You're returning to your own vibration. Right now, your energy is in integration mode. You're taking in data that doesn't come in words or thoughts. It comes in sensations, in stillness, in subtle downloads that only land when everything else quiets down. That's why you're craving distance. Not to escape the world, but to re-enter yourself. This is sacred retreat. A pause that isn't empty, but full of invisible work. And here's what most people miss. The deeper the activation, the deeper the silence required afterward. But our culture doesn't honor that. We're taught to be social, responsive, visible, even when our inner world is screaming for space. Have you noticed certain conversations feel heavier than usual? That even light talk feels draining? That being around certain people leaves you needing hours to recover? It's because your boundaries are being redrawn, not from the mind, but from the soul. Your energy is choosing where it flows now, and not everyone or everything qualifies. And yes, this shift can make you feel guilty. You might worry that you're being distant, cold, or unreliable. But ask yourself, what if this distance is exactly what your future self needs to take root? Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is disappear, not to run away, but to give your system space to come back online with clarity. This is not isolation. It's consolidation. It's your field pulling back its cords, untangling from noise and rebuilding its edges. Right now, your soul doesn't want advice. It doesn't want stimulation. It wants alignment. So let yourself not answer. Let yourself decline the call, skip the event, mute the noise. Because the version of you that's emerging isn't built for performance. It's built for presence. And presence doesn't compete with distractions. It dissolves them. So if you're feeling the pull to disappear for a while, honor it. Not because you're lost, but because you're reclaiming your own frequency. You make a plan, and it dissolves. You're halfway through something important, and a strange interruption changes the entire direction. The things that once felt certain now shift under your feet like sand. And maybe, quietly, you're wondering, why does nothing seem to unfold the way I expected anymore? Because nothing is linear now. You're not operating in a straight line. You're moving through layers of timelines, possibilities, parallel identities, all adjusting around the internal shift you just experienced. This isn't chaos. It's a reordering. The flower moon didn't just stir emotions. It altered your trajectory, and not just yours, the collective field too. And when that happens, time itself bends. What was aligned yesterday may not be today. What seemed delayed is actually arriving early, just in disguise. Have you noticed strange synchronicities showing up in the middle of wrong timing? Unexpected messages, canceled plans, chance encounters that feel more important than they logically should. This isn't coincidence. It's rethreading. Your higher self, or maybe even your future self, is moving pieces behind the scenes. It's collapsing timelines that no longer serve your new vibration. That's why certain connections are fading without warning. Why some opportunities suddenly fall through. And why, deep down, you feel like something bigger is assembling itself. Even if you don't have the proof yet, you're not being tested, you're being realigned. And yes, it's confusing. Because you're still trying to live linearly in a reality that's now spherical. Energy moves differently now. It's no longer step by step, it's pulse by pulse. It's resonance-based. Which means the more you try to force things back into normal order, the more resistance you'll meet. Because normal doesn't exist at this frequency, only truth does. Have you been trying to stick to a timeline you made before this shift? Are you holding on to expectations that were built by an older version of you? Let them fall. Because this in-between space, this so-called limbo, is actually your soul pressing pause so the script can be rewritten. And those strange glitches you've been seeing, déjà vu, repeating numbers, sudden flashes of insight, they're signals. Your field is shifting. Reality is stretching to accommodate what you've just become. You might feel like you're floating between moments, like you're stepping out of conversations halfway, like you're remembering things that haven't happened yet. You're not unstable, you're multidimensional, and for the first time, you're aware of it. So, give yourself permission to stop tracking progress like you used to. Don't judge the lack of direction. It's not lack. It's space for the new direction to reveal itself. You're not off course. You're just no longer bound by the old map. It lingers, even after the clarity, even after the calm. You thought you had moved on from certain emotions, certain people, certain patterns, but suddenly they rise again. Not like before, quieter now, but heavier in some strange, unfamiliar way. And you might ask yourself, I already healed this, didn't I? Here's the truth. This isn't the wound reopening. This is the residue. After a deep energetic shift, like the one triggered by the flower moon, what's left behind is not the storm, but the dust. Tiny, invisible threads of energy still attached to your field. Memories, thought loops, emotional echoes, fragments of a version of you that no longer fits. And those fragments, they want to be seen one last time before they go. That's why in the middle of your quiet, the sadness returns. Why you suddenly remember conversations you thought you had forgotten. Why your body aches in places that carry no injury, because release isn't always a fire. Sometimes it's a slow unthreading. Have you noticed emotions rising for no apparent reason? Feeling joy and grief in the same breath? Or crying without context, not from pain, but from something deeper, more mysterious? That's not you breaking. That's your system clearing. The final purge doesn't come with lightning. It comes in waves, subtle, unpredictable, sacred. Because you can't move into a new frequency while dragging the energetic footprints of what no longer belongs. And your body knows this. It's doing the work, even when your mind doesn't understand the process. So don't resist the waves. If something triggers you today, don't label it a setback. Label it a signal. This is where your field is finishing the work. This is the final layer of release before you fully stabilize. Let your tears fall, even if you don't know the reason. Let the silence wrap around you, even if it makes others uncomfortable. Let the old stories float up, even if you thought they were done. Because this isn't you slipping backward. It's you rising and shedding what can't rise with you. This is the part no one talks about. Not the awakening, not the rebirth, but the hollowing, the sacred emptying that makes space for what's next. Your nervous system is smarter than your schedule. It knows that clarity comes after the dust settles. That peace isn't a mood. It's a frequency that only lands when you're finally clear enough to hold it. So if you're still feeling off, be gentle. If you're still aching, stay present. This is the final release, not because you asked for it, but because you're finally ready to hold what's coming.